Hey, everybody. You might be looking, going, what's going on? Wait, what is this new thing I'm seeing on my screen? Yeah, that's it, right. We have a new logo for the Fandom Podcast Network. We're doing a lot of things around here, kind of freshening up. It's been 10 years. It's time to get things freshened up. And we got a lot of things going on with that, including a very special announcement. And if I'm going to have a special announcement, I got to bring in the co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network, the one and only Mr. Kevin Reitzel.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle. Welcome, man. This is exciting. We got a new look going on, and we've been doing this thing for 10 years now, so we felt it was time for a change. But not just for logos, though. It's time for additions for new shows.
Exactly. And, Kevin, we've been doing this for a while. I've always talked comic books on the show, but we've never truly had anybody represent fully the comic book fandom out there. We're spread so thin. Yes, we have our True Believer show, which covers comic media and things of that nature, but we've never had anybody who's really come on with a show to talk comic book culture. And I think it's time for that to change.
Agreed, because when it comes to comic book knowledge, I usually refer to you, especially when we do the MCU and the superhero stuff. But it's really nice that we now have something else that's happening here on the Fandom Podcast Network that will be a love letter to comic book fans.
Yeah, exactly. And I think without further ado, let's show you what we've been up to.
Nice.
And you know what? There's a man who brought this idea to us. I have known him for a long time. We have had the privilege of having him on many episodes of the Fandom Podcast Network. You heard him recently talking Star Wars. He's part of our action hero movie draft. At this time, we'd like to welcome to the Fandom Podcast Network the new host of the Flattest State of Comics and the man behind the idea, the one and only Comic Ronin. He's found a home. He's no longer Ronin, Mr. Steve Brown.
I like that. Kyle, Kevin, an honor to be with you guys today. Thank you for having me. Thanks for supporting this new show and making it part of the Fandom Podcast Network.
Well, it is our pleasure. Like I said, comics, Steve, you and I have known each other. Hell, we met working together in a comic book store.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys want to give a shout out to that store out of curiosity?
It doesn't even exist anymore.
Okay.
But it was called the Time Machine. So we're taking a little travel trip right now.
But no, Steve, you came to me. I know you've had a little bit of experience podcasting just here and there, but you wanted to take it to the next level, and you have a huge love for comics. If the people are watching on YouTube right now, they can see your back wall right there loaded with CGC comics, some very key issues back there. But you've been wanting to talk comics for a while, and you've developed this idea that I think is great for approaching comics and how you're going to do it. So first of all, tell the people the official name of the show and tell us what you plan to do with it.
Well, it is the Flattest State of Comics podcast. And literally, it's the hottest new comic book podcast this side of Dagobah, because we are coming to you from Florida. It's going to be all Florida comic book collectors. I dare say most of us probably aren't originally natives to Florida, but we're all currently residing in Florida. And that's kind of how we interacted and met, whether it's the comic book community on social media platforms, recognizing somebody at a convention. This is what made me think of this. And, we're going to expand well beyond Florida, but because we're all based here, this is the plan. We're going to have a very exciting, young, diverse panel, male and female, of collectors. And I couldn't be more excited about it. I'm definitely the old bald guy, so I sort of feel like Professor X, and I have this team of very cool, talented individuals that I'm really excited about. And I think of myself more as a moderator, and we're all going to be, hosting this show. But we've got big plans and some exciting stuff.
So kind of give us an idea. What are some of the topics you'll be covering on a regular or semi-regular basis on this show?
Yeah, I'd love to. We've got some fun ideas. The show will be monthly live on YouTube on your guys' Fandom Podcast Network. And we're going to try to shoot for the last Friday or Saturday of every month. And we'll kind of look at the month in review, behind the scenes as well as comics very specifically. So if there's any drama going on in the comic industry, we'll discuss it. But this particular first episode, which will be next Saturday, the 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing a spoiler-free discussion on Supergirl, because that drops the very weekend we're doing the show. So anything that kind of comes out comic book related in that month, we will discuss. We'll definitely have a segment in the beginning where we get to know the panel, all the hosts, and what motivates them, what excites them about comics, what they're currently reading, their background, what have you. We have a really, really cool, fun segment where we're doing a pay it forward, so to speak, where each of us on the show sometime during that month will buy a comic that we think resonates with somebody we know who's a non-comic book reader and collector. And we gift it to them, and just, no strings attached, whether they tear it up and throw it in your face, or they come back 2 days later and said, that was dynamite. How do I get more of this? And now we've got a new comic book collector. I had my son read it, my daughter read it, my husband loved it, that kind of thing. And then it gives us something to discuss as far as how that transaction went, how it felt. I think it's a really fun idea to do the sort of pay it forward with a comic. We're always, we don't need to keep it our own little club. We want everybody to enjoy comic books. We're passionate about comic books, and I know I talk about them a lot, at work and outside of work, and so why not, spend an extra $4 or $5 and give one to somebody? So we're excited about that. We'll do kind of our monthly picks of the most impactful read on us in particular. We'll do a segment where we pick our most fire cover of the month. There's some great artists nowadays, and they make all these different variant covers, and people can say that's a money grab, but it's fun for collectors, because some people are really, they like a certain artist. They want to collect that artist, or that's how they discover a new artist. So that's kind of a fun segment. And we're going to do our own version of Agree Disagree, which is a popular thing on podcasts. But we've got some fun new twists with that. So that, we're going to have some guests in the future, Florida creators as well as outside of Florida. So we got a lot of exciting things. I'm very excited about it.
Well, I know Kevin has a couple questions, because obviously you and I have been involved in the comic industry one way or another for a very long time, working in shops, going to conventions, things of that nature. And like you said, Florida, hell, we've had CrossGen Comics was founded here for a while before it closed up, a lot of things. But Kevin, you are our kind of, you somewhat know comics, but you're not really into the culture. And I know you have a few questions that you would kind of like get cleared up as we go into the start of this show for the general person out there who might be just getting into comics for the first time, and what's out there in the market today, because it has changed so much over the last even just 10 years, Steve, much less the 30 plus you and I have been doing it.
Right.
Yeah. I like that segment about, gifting a comic to someone. I kind of want to elaborate on a little bit of what, for the people that don't normally collect comics or know a lot about them, that segment that you're referring to there could definitely be one of the things that maybe new to the genre or to the comic book collecting might be attracted to. Is there anything else that you think that non-comic book readers might want to go, oh, I want to tune into this. I might learn some more about this show or about the comic book world in general?
Well, I think the movies are a gateway to the comics. I enjoyed this. I didn't know anything about that. Sometimes the first initial knee-jerk reaction is, that character was just created for that movie. That character may have been created in 1939, So if I can bring that to people that are unaware in an interesting and fun way, and
so you reel them in with the movie, knowing that, hey, this was based on a really cool comic. Check this out.
And again, that's kind of the approach to it is, and again, you don't want to overstep your bounds and annoy somebody like you're preaching to them, so to speak. But when you get that glimmer of interest, you got to pull that line.
and see, we talk about I think a great example of that is we have Supergirl coming up, and that is based off an incredible graphic novel, Supergirl graphic trade paperback. And I think that's one of those things where you can, when you talk about that movie, you talk about that trade paperback and say, if you like the movie, go read this. There's going to be some differences, obviously, but that's right. how you hook them in. But Steve, I am kind of curious too. What do you think are some of the things right now, as like you talk about things in the comic industry as right now? I know one of the big things is the cost of comics has gone up a lot. How do you think that affects collectors? And also, who are some of the people that you would right now recommend as far as artists and writers for comics, that if somebody you were going to come into the audience, check out this writer or check out this artist, Yeah,
the cost factor that you brought up first, Kyle, it's always sort of a topic in the comic book community, if you will. I think the general consensus, and I don't want to speak for all the other collectors out there, is something else in your life that maybe not essential, that you use for entertainment or what have you, may have to sacrifice to help fund your hobby. There's that, first of all. So proper budgeting and buying sort of within your means. Now, people can occasionally, you'll see memes kind of joking about, there goes my whole paycheck and stuff like that. And I get it. If you buy one comic book, Absolute Batman 21, and you want all the different variant covers, you're spending a lot of money. And that's just to collect them and display them. And again, to each his own, how they want to collect and approach the hobby. Most people buy what they like. They read it. If they hear about it from a friend, they read it, they spend the money. But it can be done very budget. I just recently changed my pull list. That's what we call it at the comic shops. When you have a stuff reserved, they pull it for you before you get there. In my case, I can't get to my comic shop till like 6 p.m, and they open at 10 or 11 in the morning. And then people work different hours. They come in. They can't overbuy everything because then it'll sit on the shelf. So things can sell out. And if you want it, you create this pull list. And that helps the industry quite a bit. I highly recommend people set up a pull list, whether it's I only want to collect Green Lantern and Spider-Man. They'll take care of it for you. If you want to collect 20 books or whatever, they'll pull it for you. And most of the time they get it accurate and maybe give you even some extras saying, I thought you might like this. It's a fun process. And my comic book shop, Bat City Comics in Bradenton, Florida, they're super cool. They'll put stuff in and just say, you don't want it, just hand it back. It's cool. They don't give you a hard time like, well, you asked for that. And, sometimes you pick it up somewhere else and you don't need it. But anyways, we're back on the cost thing. That's a great way to help the industry as far as the pull lists. But yeah, the prices rise and time is tough right now with gas prices and things like that. So I recently changed my pull list where I cap out at 10 books a month. And, you got 3 on week 1, 2 on week 2, and then 4 and then 1. And, so the math there at $5 a book isn't too bad. And then you see a number 1 of something new and you're like, I think I want to try this. And so you might pick up something extra. You might say, I really like this artist. I want to pick up this new book that I didn't know about, and it happens to be there on the shelf. So you give yourself a little wiggle room. Some people don't have to worry about the money. I was watching Whatnot yesterday, which is a auction app for all kinds of items. And it's got a lot of comic people on there auctioning comics and stuff. I was seeing autograph books going for $2,000+. So there's people out there that got the dough for the hobby. And then there's the average Joe like me who kind of budgets it. And obviously I have a nice collection of stuff, but I kind of used the hobby to create this behind me. You pick up a couple short boxes on Facebook Marketplace. You find some gems in there, you trade them, you flip them, you buy something else, and then next thing you know, you have a fairly valuable collection. But yeah, the cost thing is you just kind of got to work your budget and be careful like anything else. People are getting carried away with other not so healthy hobbies. So maybe you save some money on drinks on Friday night and you go Saturday and pick up a couple comic books. So that hopefully answers the financial question of things. And certain books are really trying hard to keep the price point reasonable for people because they know that you can't get it all. Like I said, I kind of limiting myself to capping out at 10 books. And then if I really hear about something else has got to go. I take a minimalist approach to it. If I'm going to buy a new coffee mug, an old coffee mug's got to get out of the cabinet. So that's the way I look at that. What was your other question, Kyle?
Well, Kevin and I were talking about this before because Kevin isn't quite as in the. Who are the hot writers? Who are the writers or artists that you would right now recommend? Because I'll be honest with you too. For me, it seems like in the last about 5 years to 10 years, especially, we've really been in a transition from a lot of the longtime really popular artists to a new generation of artists and writers who are kind of taking over, with still a few of those old school goats, as they say, hanging around.
Yeah, I don't want to exclude anybody right now. Scott Snyder's probably top of the heap, and he's been around, for a bit. But he's doing Absolute Batman, and he's sort of the head guy on the whole Absolute thing that's going on at DC, which is kind of an alternate version of a lot of the main characters in the DC world and universe. I think it's pretty brilliant stuff. Some people compare it to manga. They're saying that it's sort of Batman manga. And maybe that's why we're seeing a huge influx of younger readers getting into the hobby for the first time in a long time. Because I think a lot of them were into anime and still into anime and into manga. And now all of a sudden you've got some stuff happening with characters they're familiar with that maybe their dad or grandpa read, but now they're kind of changed in sort of this manga fashion, if you will. Interesting stuff. And Scott Snyder, the writer, who's a great guy. Anytime you meet him at a convention, what a super cool dude. I mean, he'll just talk to you for 10, 15 minutes about what's going on, and he's passionate about it. So that makes you want to support this even more so.
Well, I think in Snyder's case too, from what I know and everything, he is basically considered right now the modern quintessential Batman writer.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. There's other people working on Batman projects. There's a Batman book by Matt Fraction right now, and Matt Fraction's a great writer, and that's a really cool regular Batman continuity run that's going on that I really enjoy. Tom King, who you mentioned, the Supergirl movies based on a comic book, and now it's a nice trade paperback and a hardcover paperback. That was Tom King who wrote that. He's done some really, really cool stuff. Writer that I'm really, really high on, doing a lot of independent stuff, is Dennis Camp. And his book, Assorted Crisis Events, this book reads like literature. It is absolutely brilliant. I can't say enough about this book. It's an anthology, comes out once a month. I think we're 9-10 issues into that book. There's some time discrepancies happening in our world, and then and it gets really, really heartfelt and emotional and real. And he has a way of doing that. He was also on Absolute Martian Manhunter, and he was on the Ultimates book over at Marvel. So doing a lot. That guy, Dennis Camp, he's a brilliant writer. Artists, and I don't want to exclude anybody. There's a lot of great writers, and we'll talk about them on the show quite a bit, I'm sure. And then artists, you've got guys that are strictly doing covers, that are doing fine art. I mean, beautiful fine art. Dan Quintana, this young guy, Ito, I-T-O, is a watercolor painter, and his work is absolutely gorgeous. And these guys are kind of just cover artists. And then you got the guys doing the interiors, like Jorge Jimenez, Dan Mora, Nick Dragata, who's doing Absolute Batman. And that list goes on and on. There's some just really, really talented people in the industry right now. So it's a good time for comics. Yeah. And a good time for the Flattest State of Comics podcast.
I had two questions. A quick one, just back to the price of comic. What is the average price of a single comic nowadays?
$5.
$5?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, if they give you a bagged version, that's a big popular thing. The blind bags, you buy the book sealed, you get an option of cover A, or maybe even an autographed or sketched cover, real sketched, original art, and then maybe a fancy foil. So some of these blind bags, they uptick the price to $7, maybe $10. Some of the variant covers that have a thicker card stock may sell for $6, but generally you're looking at $5, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question I had too, and it's something that's been happening a lot over the last like 10 or 15 years, is you'll learn about a limited comic run. The individual comics will come out monthly, and then they'll release what would you call it, the book or the compendium?
The trade paperback.
The trade paperback. What is the advantage to either collecting them both or just one or the other? Because sometimes when I hear about something, I'll go, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to wait for the trade paperback.
Yeah.
The others like, no, you should definitely get the individual comics, because you know, what is the advantage to either doing one over the other or doing both?
Well, if you're buying it monthly, you can't binge it, to use the streaming shows kind of analogy. If you buy an omnibus, which is the size of a big encyclopedia, or even a trade paperback, which may be 4 issues, maybe 5 issues of a run and a storyline, so it's all kind of laid out for you. You can just bang that out, appreciate the art, take your time, but do it at your pace instead of waiting monthly, possibly missing. Oh, I missed issue 4 of this 5-issue thing. Now I've got to go on eBay and find it. I'll wait till I get them all and I'll read it. So it's not for everybody to do the monthly books. And one of the things I told myself when I changed my pull list to 10 books max is, you know, everybody's talking about that book and everybody's talking about that book, but it just doesn't fit into my 10. I'm like, it's not going anywhere. I can either get to it later, and they come out with these trade paperbacks really quick nowadays. There was recently a Spider-Man Predator. There was recently a Wolverine versus Predator. Predator's owned by Disney and Marvel, so they've crossed the Predator into these, and they've actually been really good. And I bought the Wolverines one at a time. I feel like right after the last issue came out, the next week or two, boom, there was the trade paperback. And I'm like, I didn't really need to collect those. They were cool and it was fun to read it, but I could have just waited if they were going to come out that quick and read the whole thing, you know, and just enjoyed it in that fashion. So it's to each his own. If you don't want the hassle of getting, you know, there that frequently, or having space issues, like we're in the comic world, we're always struggling with, where do I put all this stuff? You know, so and so if you just want to read it, you know, the omnibus, the trade, the absolute editions, there's some great stuff, and sometimes it's even bigger, so you really get a dynamic feel, and the paper quality is good and stuff like that. I'm not telling anybody not to buy the old school floppies, because that's really where the collecting comes in, and I can't wait each month for a couple of the books I collect to come out. But then I also follow up and buy, like Absolute Batman, for instance, I've already bought the first 2 trades in hardcover form. So when I want to go back and read them, I don't need to bust out the comic. I can just enjoy that. And the price point is really reasonable for what you get. It may be a more affordable way to read the comics, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. And there's websites that still sell this stuff very discounted and stuff like that.
I was curious about that, because one of the comics I dive into monthly, because one of my friends' podcast is, we talk about the old G.I. Joe Marvel run from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they've been releasing new compendiums and stuff like that. And we've found that when they do that, sometimes that there's stuff that you won't get from the original comics, you know, because sometimes we talk about the old ads, or there might be something in the art that's changed or even corrected, because sometimes we'll find misspellings and stuff like that. So I find that part of the collecting of the comic industry fascinating. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So again, Steve, you reiterated your first episode will be live a week from today. We're putting this out. It's the 27th of June. You've got your first crew already loaded up to throw into your danger room, I'm assuming.
Professor? Yeah, right now it's we're going to battle the Sentinels, and it's I think there's 5 of us actually. Yeah, that's if everybody can make it. Right now, everybody's on board and excited to do it. All these people have their own, following, and a couple of them already have their own YouTube channels and stuff like that. It's a great group of people. I'm very excited about the team that I've assembled. And again, I feel like I'm going to just kind of be a moderator with some of my own opinions. I like to think of everybody that's on this show as a host, and I can't wait to get going with it. I'm really excited about it.
Cool.
I'm just going to tell you, though, if I hear the words Floridians Assemble come out of your mouth.
Well, and this is no love letter to the state of Florida. We just all happen to be here. So, if somebody doesn't love it here, like I said, it's, the hottest podcast this side of Dagobah. It is hot here in Florida.
It is very hot.
Air conditioner.
I love the name of the show, The Flattest State of Comics, because I didn't realize how true that statement was when I used to live in Georgia, and I would drive down to Disney World or down to see Kyle or whatever, and you could see the topography change drastically once you get in Florida. You're like, don't they have hills here?
Indeed, that's it.
Of course, with the double meaning of you always want to keep your comic books flat. So
right. I wanted it to be kind of double entendre, I guess, and then perk people's curiosity. I always have a tendency to name everything much longer than I should, instead of just Sting or Cher. My dog is Cheeky Pint and my cat is Dougal Donut. So, everything has to have a big long name with me. So the Flattest State of Comics podcast. It's a mouthful, but I think it's fun and it gets the point across.
Well, as we wrap this up, Steve, I wanted you to take this moment, since this is we're episode 0 and your introduction to you and the show and to the Fandom Podcast Network viewers and listeners. How can they reach out to you if they want to learn more about comics, and also more about the show, and maybe share some ideas with you?
Well, the best place to find me is on Instagram, and right at the bottom of the screen @comic_Ronin is where you'll find me directly. And I do a lot of reels. I do a weekly haul. I'm very excited. A writer for Dark Horse Comics reached out to me and wants me to be a beta tester, and he's sending me some stuff that should probably arrive today. So I have a lot of fun on my Instagram. I post stuff daily. I'll be posting stuff about the podcast. And then there is the Flattest State of Comics site on Instagram too. It's just @the Flattest State of Comics. And that just got up and running. So go there and follow and share and wait for more to come.
Cool. Nice.
We are very excited, and this has been a long time coming for you. I know how much passion you have for this, how much work you put into this, and we're glad to have you here for that and help you begin this journey with on this podcast. And I know you're gonna let me pop in every once in a while on occasion too, help you in the background a little bit as well. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But again, Steve, welcome to the network. Welcome, Flattest State of Comics, to the network. We're really excited about opening up this opportunity and fandom and have this part of our network, and to get you more involved too in other shows. We love having you on Culture Clash when you come on with that. I think we got to sneak you in on a Couch Potato Theater. Kevin, I'm just going to throw it out there. When we ever get around to finally doing Escape from New York, this is your man right here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
Got Snake Plissken right there.
That's an 81 film, right?
Yeah, I think that was 81.
Right.
That sounds right.
Well, let's make that happen, because it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. So
President of what?
Exactly. It was so cool as I recently picked up a 4K Steelbook version of that. So we'll do that, Steve. It's time.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So guys, be here next Saturday on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel for the first full episode of the Flattest State of Comics with Mr. Comic Ronin, Steve Brown, and his exciting crew of influencers and comic people. And you know what? We're going to be pushing it all week. The links will be out there. This episode will be out there. Hopefully you are intrigued by what you've seen here. Don't let Steve's face for podcasting turn you off. But
that handsome devil, come on.
But
it's all about that.
It has been an absolute blast. Steve, thank you so much. We're excited.
Thank you, Steve.
We will see you
It's
guys.
a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it'll be as always, man. Your family. So be here next week on the YouTube channel for the Fan Podcast Network for the first full episode of the Flattest State of Comics with the Comic Ronin himself, Steve Brown. Thank you for the time for the special announcement. There's a lot more exciting things happening around at the Fandom Podcast Network. But guys, we've done this thing, so we are out of here. Thank you so much.